And we are live. Good morning, good evening, whenever you are. Apologies for this short delay. We had some technical problems, as always. So in today's stream, we will be exploring React Server components in the context of Next.js 12. And I'm excited to be joined by Swyx, who's a coder, prolific writer, project manager, YouTuber, learning public evangelist. And I hope, you wear a lot of hats. So, Shawn, Swyx, great to have you.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to hopefully muddle through React Server components and excited to just help in whatever way I can.
I'm very happy to have you here. So the goal for this stream is to try to rebuild the official Nodes demo that was presented by Lauren Tan and Dan Abramov when they were introducing React Server components back in December 2020. And we will be using newly released Next.js 12 that introduced an alpha support for React Server components. And we will be doing that in public, if you don't mind.
Of course.
Yeah, so we will see how far we can go, and hopefully we'll learn a thing or two along the way. So ultimately, it's about exploring this new promising technology and having fun. So, and just a side note, React Server components are currently in alpha, and they are not meant for production. So that, yeah. So maybe before we start, Swyx, I wanted to ask you, because you made some very, you made this article and Twitter thread about React Server components when they introduced that. And I was wondering about your initial reaction, how you feel about this technology.
I thought it was quite brilliant. I also thought that it was going to be a huge paradigm shift for a lot of React developers.
Mm-hmm.
So it's brilliant in the sense that it is one feature that cuts a huge percentage of JavaScript weight. I think the Facebook team said something like 20 to 30% of JavaScript in the production bundles at Facebook were cut. And it also fully realizes the vision that Dan Abramov mentioned in the past Twitter thread, where he said that it's not enough to just reduce the size of the framework. You want to reduce the size of the overall app. And React Server Components does that. It uses components that only need to be rendered on the server and just leaves them on the server. So you can include heavy libraries on the server and never send them to the client side if you want to. So I think there's a lot of power there. The problem is that now React is not just a library. React is not just a front-end framework. Now React is a full stack framework. And
Absolutely.
you have to worry about things like backend database connections and authentication and authorization and rate limiting and message transport. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of issues that we're going to have to work out, and I'm for sure guaranteed that the React team has not documented or thought through all of them, and so the community is going to have to solve quite a lot.
Absolutely. I was very positively surprised to see that when Dan introduced that, he was mentioning that they are still, trying to figure out the details. And that's something, as you promote, I think they try to do it in public. So they share a little bit and they see the response and then they adjust. And it's pretty interesting to see that, because nowadays it seems that people expect polished things, that everything should be perfect. But I think that's not how innovation works. And when you do it gradually in this feedback loop, it seems a better approach.
You have to be a bit careful when you're as big as influential as the React team. So they do not share a lot of their drafts in public, because it gets picked over by people who don't have the full context. So there's a smaller working group. They work in public. There's sort of RFCs and discussions on there, but for sure, a lot of stuff happens behind closed doors. And even more that I think in 2018-19, when I was involved in like the React hooks discussion, this like things that actually feel like they're tightened up rather than become more public. And I think that's just a
Interesting.
reaction to how much scrutiny they get, how much they get hounded over things that they considered in public but never released. So React actually has a lot of abandoned proposals. And yeah, I have a lot of sympathy for that.
Absolutely. That's interesting. So I wanted to ask you, because React Server components are not public yet. It's still in alpha, and Next.js introduced that also as an alpha feature in Next.js 12. And we can also see that other companies, namely Shopify, is building a framework right now on top of React Server components. And I wanted to ask you, how do you feel about that?
I don't know. So Shopify has a back channel to the React team, so they're doing it with the blessing of the React team. And anyone building on alpha software for production use case like that should try to establish the channels with the core team so that they make sure that they're not doing something that they're going to regret in the future.
Absolutely.
But I think it just reflects the need for something like this.
Exactly.
The bloat of JavaScript bundles has just been growing and growing and growing. React gets a lot of blame for it, sometimes rightfully so, sometimes not. And so people want a solution like this, and it's been, we can work around it with server rendering, but it only does so much, and it's a very kind of imperfect hack. And server components really starts to do a proper hybrid solution, which is pretty exciting.
I think we could also say that this is pretty important in the e-commerce context as well, where there's the speed matters. When you can, provide something fast, this can convert into a sale.
Yeah.
So maybe maybe this short introduction would be enough. Let's maybe start coding if you're okay with that.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. So I'm not fully prepared. This will be improvised. So let me just arrange my windows quickly, and I will be ready. So yeah, that should be good. So this is my screen. Let me maybe do it.
Yep, I see it. It's not full screen, but I love the background.
Perfect.
You may want to do the hide button on the bottom. Yeah.
Okay.
Standard. Oh no, the browser hide. Yeah.
The browser hide. Okay.
No, what you had just now was fine. Yes. There's a hide button. It says stop sharing or hide. You want to click hide. Yeah. There you go.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. So the first thing would be to generate Next.js application. So I will be using PNPM, but we can also use Yarn. We could do something like that. And PNPM is this new, well, not new, but another package manager for Node. And it's kind of different. I don't want to go into details maybe right now. The idea is that it uses those links for packages in Node modules directory. So this way, we just download the dependency once on our computer, and then it's reused as a link between projects in different directories across our hard disk. So yeah, let's generate this, and I will be using TypeScript. So
awesome.
Yeah. So is everything? Yeah, it's perfect. Yeah. So there's this funny thing because the create next app uses Yarn. So I will just remove Node modules and reinstall it quickly with PNPM, so it's consistent.
Your machine's very fast.
Thank you. Maybe I'm used to it, or yeah. So
I don't know. I don't think I install npm that fast.
So we have that, and because maybe this is because of the PNPM. So I already have those dependencies for the projects, and PNPM reuses that. So just links between those. So this way is a little bit faster. Okay, so let's maybe open it in the VS Code. So this is like a standard app. Do you mind if I use white background, or you
No,
would
not
prefer?
at all. It's actually better for live streams.
Awesome. Okay, so that we have this, and let me start it. So Next.js configures the script section for you. Oops. So we are using dev. So this is next dev, like that. Let's see if it worked. So I forgot to mention that I wanted just a side note. This is the swyx website, so please visit it. And I wanted also to plug your book. You wrote a book.
Yay!
So this is the missing manual for junior to senior devs. So if you're interested, please go to see that.
Yes.
Okay. And let's open our application. So it works. So the next thing would be to use Tailwind. Have you had a chance to use Tailwind, maybe?
Oh, I'm
Shawn?
100%. I'm 100%
Awesome.
on Tailwind. I have a blog post called Why Tailwind, and I think
Sorry,
if you
I
if you
couldn't check that.
Google Why Tailwind, I think I'm the first result.
Apologies. So
Seriously.
now I feel stupid. Okay. So I wanted to ask another question. How do you feel about it? But that's great. So let's try to configure that. So I can use -e, but I'm not sure if this works with -t for TypeScript. So I will just do it manually. So let's just take those dependencies quickly, and let's try to do that. So we will just remove this, and let's add them. Okay, we have that. And let's generate the structure. So in our case, this will be this. Okay, so it generated two files. We have this file and this file. We need to configure the purge section. So let's quickly do this like that. So the JIT for Tailwind works. And yeah, and let's maybe use this part. So now if I open globals, I remove all that. And paste this. So if I start the app, I should have, we can test it maybe with this. Yeah, let's try whatever. Let's remove that and that. So I get some questions about the Doom and Emacs, because I was doing those videos about Emacs. I'm still using Emacs, but for personal work. But for videos, for live streams, I prefer VS Code. Okay, so let's see if it works. So it works. We have a red hello. So now we can start maybe building the notes application. So the first thing I would like to do is to maybe just do the structure of the app. So we would like to generate this page, this first page on the server. So let's rename it to server. So the idea for React Server component is that we have client server components and shared components. And to differentiate those two, we have to use the prefixes. And now this won't work because we have to set up Next.js to support React Server components. So let's try to do this quickly. So this is advanced feature. So first of all, we need to use the React Alpha. And let's maybe do So yeah, let's try this. So it takes more time than I expected. Apologies for that. Yeah, so it replaced the React 17 with React 18. And we need to enable those experimental features. So concurrent feature and server components as well, because we'll be using both of them. So in next config, let's do this. Yeah. Okay. So that's really good. And now we should be able to see. Okay, it seems it works. And now let's maybe just quickly do some sort of two-pane view. So we will use Flex for that. And inside we will just do each screen, maybe something like that. And something like that for the, okay, it didn't work. So let's do this like that. Okay. Here we will have our nodes. And here we will have, or maybe node list. And here we will have the content of a node. Yeah. So let's see if it works. So maybe I should, works, okay.
Nice.
Maybe I should put it side by side so it's easier to see as we go. Like a very, very quick improvised setup. Okay, and now
you need to
the idea.
You need to use a window manager.
Yeah, I need to use one.
You want to try? It's not that hard.
Okay, well, yeah, with pleasure.
Spectacle.
Spectacle, okay.
Window manager, yeah. Spectacleapp.com. Yeah.
This one. Okay. I will try it. Maybe not now.
Yeah, that's what I use. So I always, I move it to like half and half, or 2/3 and 1/3, something like that. It's pretty smooth. You should not be manually resizing.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you.
Mm.
So we have that. And now let's maybe do, so the idea is that we want to have the node list generated on the server. And maybe we could quickly discuss why we should do that. So because, or maybe differently, how React server components are different from server-side generation. So the idea is to server-side generation, you generate your HTML and then you send it to the browser. And in the case of React server components, you generate a special format, which is then can be sent to the browser. And in addition to that, it can be streamed. So this is even better. And yeah, so let's maybe implement that. So let's try to add components directory, and let's try to add the node list component. So node list, and this would be server component. Okay, so export default node list like that, and yeah, and let's Sorry. Function and return. So we will have maybe something like that. Let's do that. And here, let's do nodes. I have something broken with my, yeah, something like that. And for the nodes, let me just copy them so that we have something to work with. So I have one node, which is node 111, and second node. And now we can just iterate. So we can do map like that, and we can do node and LE. Here, let's say
I always say li.
li. Okay.
I don't know. You want to put a key on that as well.
Good idea. So this is node ID, for example. Okay, so we have that, and let's try to import that here.
Woohoo!
It works.
Well, so have you proven that one part comes from the server and one part comes from the client?
Yeah, exactly. That's a great point. Let's prove that. So if it comes from the server, Webpack shouldn't generate. Yeah, we didn't generate any component right now.
Ooh.
So yeah. So let's, for the test, do a client component to see that it's
Well,
so right.
I can show you another way. Typically, what people say is that you go to the network tab and you reload. Yeah, if you reload, the initial index request should have the server rendered stuff, but not the client rendered stuff.
You mean
I think your server, yeah, I think your server rendering, you can prettify that. I think is there a button to prettify it?
Sorry, which one?
You can prettify that HTML. Yeah. Okay. It's not exactly server rendering yet. I think maybe because it's in development, so maybe it's more of a production thing.
Okay, and interesting. So let's maybe.
Anyway, I'm just sharing that. That's typically how you prove that something was server rendered, because you can't look at just the raw HTML. You have to look at the network request.
Yeah. I see. Okay, so maybe for a test, we could see that we create a client component, and maybe we should see this component being, taken care by Webpack in that case, because if it's in the browser, it should appear here. So my hypothesis, my theory is that if I now add a component which is client component, something like let's say something client, and I do export default something, and I do client. In that case, if I include it here, okay, I'm client, and now it should appear here. Yeah. So that means that it was sent from the server to the browser, while the node list component, which is server, is not here. So it was generated on the server and then sent to the client. And that's already a huge advantage, because we have two components here, and only one is being sent to the browser.
Nice.
So now we could maybe try to finish the node list. So for example, interesting feature is that we could, for example, pass props from the server component to the client component. And if those props are serializable, it will work. So maybe we could try to do that. So for example, we could create here maybe another component called sidebar node, which will be the one li item or element, and this will be also a server component. And yeah, so let's try to do this. Default function sidebar node, like that. And here we can do the same thing that Lauren did during the demo. So because this is a server component, we can have some dependencies that will be not included in the browser bundle. So for example, we could use a dependency, let's say format dates, and this could be from date fns. So let me just install that. Yeah, and now we will be trying to format data. So I'll just copy a snippet just to go faster. And we'll be passing that as a prop. Updated at, okay, like that. And then let's maybe display it. So let me go. I will copy another snippet just a bit faster. So here it's just a header. So this is the one that was used in the demo, and we made types, so something like that. This will be also a string. And now in the list, let's replace this one with the sidebar node, and this should be something like that. No, we should spread like that. Okay, and now if we refresh, yeah, so it works. So we formatted the data, but the data is formatted on the server, which means that we don't pay the cost of including this dependency in the client. So if I open again, Webpack was generated, the date FNS shouldn't be here. So this way we can greatly reduce our bundles because we can do certain stuff on the server. And now let's maybe try to do this thing about passing, because when Lauren was showing the demo, so they wanted to have some interactivity here. So you could like do a preview. So if you need interactivity, you need to do it on the client. And they showed that you can combine server and the client. So let's try to do the same thing. So they use this client sidebar component, which will be client component. And they passed this part as a child to this component. And then they also did something like ID was passed and title, note. And yeah, and now let's create this client sidebar component. So I will again copy that component. So or maybe let's write it from scratch quickly. we'll have sidebar nodes client. And here, sidebar node, which will be ID title children. And here we will have the is expanded set is expanded. So we want to have this state, which can be used on the server. And now let's maybe copy the rest. So I have a snippet. Let me just copy that snippet so it's faster. Here I'm using this library for icons called hero icons from the people who created Tailwind. So let's add that. And again, to go a little bit faster, let's do this. Move, and this we'll do in a moment. Yeah, and we need to pass expanded children as well. So expanded children, this will be what will appear when the node is being clicked. So this would be something like we will have a summary. So let's just pass summary here. And client sidebar node. So we need to include the client node and the server, the client component and the server component like that. And I have some errors. Okay, because this is ID is a string. A string. Now, okay. And one more. Where is it? Okay. Okay. So something is working, but not entirely. So let's just do diff for the title. So we have a node and it shows no content. So that's because we don't pass summary here. Because we don't have summary here. So if we say hello 1, 2, and the problem is that, okay, let's not worry about that right now. Yeah, so it works. Okay, that was longer than I expected, but the idea now is that if we check the components, we should see that we are still just getting the minimal amount of things we need to generate that. So we are getting only the something component we used before and the sidebar client, which means that when we are generating the node, and for example, formatting the dates and doing other stuff, it all happens on the server. And even this part is being generated on the server. So the children, this JSX, and then it's being passed in a serialized form to the client so that we can have this interactivity over here. So the final step would be to have some routing so that when we click on this, we can display the content of a node on the right side. So let's maybe try to do this quickly. and see if it's possible. So I will copy a part of a snippet. So we'll be using the link from Next, and just do this like that. So we have that, and now I can click, but I cannot load a page. So I did this workaround, and I think this doesn't work yet in Next. But if we copy the index and we do a dynamic page like that, it should work. Yeah. And now we need to just add the node. So we will add another component, which is node server. And this component will be responsible for displaying a particular node. So I will again copy maybe something to go faster. So this will be export default function. And here, yeah, let me just update that. So here we will be getting the selected ID. And for the preview, we can just do body, I think, to simplify that. And like that. And for the nodes, let's maybe put them somewhere else. So we can do maybe data insights. So we'll be reading them from the file system. So here we will and yeah, so that should be good or not. It's okay. So we have a problem here.
What happened?
So we just okay. I think it's good. So I think that's the problem with currently with the preview in Next. But I will let me just finish this quickly. So here I will also import the nodes from the file system because this is everything that happens on the server. And we will do this trick that I will be getting, let's say that selected ID is 1. So I'm doing -1 because arrays are indexed from 0. And let's maybe destructure node like that. And let's maybe convert to a date so we don't have an error. Okay. And that should be good. So now if I replace the in pages and this dynamic page, I say node, and I I use the selected ID like that. So I read that in issues for Next.js that we can access router from a page.
Ooh,
It's a trick.
is that new?
I'm not sure. I think they did it for only for React server components. So that means
Nice.
that, yeah, and you can access the route, and then you can parse the route, and we will parse it to get this ID. So let's see. I'm clicking. No, it is not defined. Okay, because I haven't imported this. Let's try again. Works. No, it doesn't. It shows the one, so selected. Okay. Selected. It works. So we did it. So we
Nice.
were able to somehow reproduce that. The only problem is now, and I think that's something the Next.js people are working on. If I refresh in the browser, it shows nothing. So something is wrong, and I think if we go to here, yeah, it says that could not find files for this route in Next. So I think that's a bug, but that's understandable because it's still in alpha. So if this was working, I think we could have a full cycle, and we could. So as long as I do the routing in the browser, it works. But if I do the refresh, it's stop working. It's working. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much it. We have everything we need to build the apps. And again, if we go to Webpack, we only generate Sidebar node client because we want to have this interactivity here, and the rest is being done on the server. Yeah, so I think that's what I wanted to cover.
Yeah, there's a lot more in the demo from the React team. They also do search. They also do writing and storing it to the database. And I think it's worth exploring. There I think like total like a 12 or 13 small little steps that we went through in my live stream with the React team. And yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty nice and great proof of concept, but really we haven't put this in production yet. Basically only the Facebook web people have put it into production, and they don't use Next.js. They don't have the routing stuff figured out. They don't have also, like, there's a lot of things that you should be aware of as a backend developer now, because that's what you are as a React Server Components developer, with rate limiting and
Yeah,
auth. That's completely unanswered right now. So
exactly. There's
yeah.
plenty of problems, I think, and that's totally understandable because we are in alpha. They recently posted the roadmap, so if anyone is interested, they should definitely check this out. And yeah, I'm excited about React Server Components. It's great to see them added to Next.js, and yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Congrats. Nice.
thank you for. I'm sorry for it was a more one-sided discussion, but
It's okay. I've done this before, so I could just watch.
thank you for being here. And yeah, so we did this proof of concept. I think we can push it further if anyone is interested to do the full demo, as Swyx was saying, with search and other stuff. I think it's more than possible, and yeah, we can have that.
Yeah. Other things you can try is rendering it from a serverless function, including an edge function. So this is something that Sunil Pai from Cloudflare, I think, or maybe John Cooperman from Cloudflare did. They did it. They rendered server components inside of a Cloudflare worker. The reason you want to do this is so that your viewers don't have to ping back all the way to your central server, and they can just render it from a data center that's like 10 milliseconds away.
Mhm.
That's really nice, but also you have to worry about latency, and the total bundle size cannot exceed a certain amount. Otherwise, you have cold start issues, and there's a lot of nuances that you can get into there,
Mhm.
but there's a lot of fun stuff as well.
Absolutely. I think now because React gives us this mental model, and with React Server Components, we can transcend the boundaries of client and server, so we can have this similar mental model on the client, on the server. So I think the future is bright. And let's maybe stop here. Thank you very much for being in
Thanks for
this
having me.
a little bit strange stream. And thank
No,
you for
I
listening.
enjoy people digging around in it. I'm just kind of bored. I'm waiting for the thing to fully launch. I'm not messing around with it until the final release, which is maybe a bad career move, because I think if you want to make yourself known as a React Server Components expert, you should be doing the work now to study every single part of it before it comes out, so that when it comes out, you can say you're an
You're
expert.
ready. Mhm.
But right now, I got other things to do.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for being here again. And
Yeah. All right. Awesome. Thank you.
see ya.
Bye.